video again on canning meat. All the information is accurate on it, but I was canning chicken at the time. Today I'm actually canning beef. So I'm just going to take you step by step through the canning process, okay? This is by the Ball Blue Book. Canning is a science, not an art. You need to make sure that you're following proven methods so that there's no salmonella or any other bacteria, because canning meat, obviously you can get contamination and it could be deadly, okay? So don't freak out, it's really easy. So I actually canned over 100 pounds in the last day. I'm gonna show you. Have some there, I have some there, and even over on my table, I have a bunch over there. So I'm going to show you the quick method to canning meat. The quick method is raw pack, okay? You can do hot pack or raw pack, okay? What raw pack means, it just means that you're putting the meat in cold, okay? So, now obviously if I only had 20 pounds of meat or 25 pounds of meat, I would do the hot pack. Let me show you the difference after it's canned, okay? This is what I cans with hot pack. As you can see here, the liquid is pretty clear, okay? There's just the chunks of meat and the liquid is very clear. Here is a raw pack. You can see here, there is this stuff here. Just like when you're boiling meat or something, you know how that white foamy stuff kind of comes up to the top? If you don't pre-boil your meat or saute it, brown it, then you're going to get this a little bit in your jar. It's not a big deal. It actually clings to the side of your jar, and when you dump it out, it really doesn't go in your meat at all. But that is the difference after canning between hot pack and raw pack. So, again, I don't have enough time to brown or boil over like 140 pounds of meat, so raw pack. Raw pack, you're just cubing your meat, is how I like to do it. I cube it just like beef stew. You would be making beef stew. Pack it into your jar nice and tight, and it should create its own juices. When you hot pack, you have to add water to 1 inch because you've cooked out that liquid, okay? With the raw, it still has all its juices in it. If you need to go ahead and add some water to the 1 inch mark to cover the meat, it's not making its own juice, you really don't have to, because during the cooking process, it will create its own broth, okay? 1 inch of headspace. When you do this, you want to be sure that your meat is free of all silver skin, fat. You want just good lean meat. So pack it in there. Be sure you press it down below your liquid level, and then get all the air bubbles out. You are going to wipe your rim with a cloth or paper towel. You're then going to take your lid. You've had this jar hot and sterilized. You've had your lid hot. You're going to put it on, and then you're going to put on your ring. Not tight, just to where, and leave it alone, okay? Now this is ready to go in your canner, all right? You want to have all your jars prepped up and ready. Now, I'm kind of doing this a little bit backwards here because of the fact that I had a batch canning, so I'm actually taking a batch off. So here's my canner. It just got done processing. But first, we're going to heat the canner with the liquid in the bottom. Follow your canner's directions. Usually it's 1.5 inches or 2 inches of water in the bottom. You have your, it's a piece of metal. I'm not even sure what they call it. I don't know. But in the bottom, so that your jar is not sitting right on the bottom of the canner, because that would have heat right on the bottom and would crack your jar. So it's just a piece of metal grating that goes in the bottom of your canner that distributes the heat more evenly. Okay, so then you would put your meat into the canner. you would let the canner, when this starts steaming out, pressure, then it's time to put on your weight. Meat needs to be processed at 10 pounds of pressure. Quarts are 90 minutes. It doesn't matter if you hot pack or cold pack, it's still 10 pounds of pressure for 90 minutes for quarts. For pints, 10 pounds of pressure, 75 minutes. When this starts steaming out pressure, we're putting our 10 pounds on. Then we wait until it starts dingling. You go. When it starts that, that's when you put your timer on 90 minutes for quarts, okay? Now, like I said, I've been canning, so I have to release this first, okay, before I can show you. This is an All-American Model 930. This actually holds 14 of these quart jars at a time. The difference between this and a lot of your canners that you've probably been used to is the fact that it's a gasketless. It doesn't have a gasket, it's metal to metal, and then therefore we have these crank downs, but you never have to replace a gasket with the All-American. They are quite a bit more expensive than your traditional canner, but well worth the money. So on this, it's gasketless. We turn it a little bit and then lift the lid. You can see on this, there's no gasket. It's metal to metal. And then these screw downs on the main part of the canner go right in here. You have your weights or your gauge so that you can read the weight. And then this is the where you put your weighted. Oh, I just lost a jar. Goodness me. Okay. You're going to put your jar in with a jar grabber. I just got done canning, so I'm actually taking out my jars. And then I'll show you how to put this actually in the canner. If you have any comments, just put them below. Any questions, any suggestions, tell me. Have you ever canned meat? What kind of meat do you can? And always give our video a like and a share. So there's 7. I just took out 7. And they're double set. So here's the divider I was talking about. It's just a metal. So it keeps, you have that between the row of 7 and 7. Because there's 7 quarts on bottom, the divider, 7 quarts on top. And there's one of these same exact ones in the very bottom. Canning meat can save you a lot of time in meal prepping because meat, you can throw vegetables and have them done in just a little bit, but it takes a while to cook meat sometimes. Plus the fact that sometimes you just run out of freezer space. Maybe you don't even have a big freezer. So this is a great long term. There's no added energy in trying to keep this frozen or anything. Absolutely ready to use. Okay, so in here I've already got hot water. Another quick tip is always add about 1/4 cup of vinegar into your bottom water here. It keeps your jars from getting lime buildup. You know, that white sometimes gets on your jars. Okay, so I'm going to have to replace just a little bit of water in here from the last cleaning. Just a little bit. I'll top it off. Then you put in your vinegar. And then it's time to load your 7 jars in the bottom. Always start with the center and then put the 6 around the side. So very center jar, then work your 7 jars around the side. Now these are raw packs, so they're not hot, so I can touch them easily. Okay, so there's 7 in there. I'm going to go ahead and put in my divider. And then I'll put the 7 on top. Just remember, pints is 75 minutes at 10 pounds. Quarts are 90 minutes at 10 pounds. So I've got this loaded. Now I want to turn my canner back up to high. We'll go ahead and we will put the top on. Now with this, you have a little marker here. And you want to make sure the arrow and the indentation are lined up correctly. So the lid is on. Kind of make sure it's even a little bit. And then you do opposites. So I'm taking the screw in the back and the screw in the front at the same time and tightening them down. Then the sides, one in the back, one in the front side, tighten them down. The opposite sides, tighten them down. And then go back and tighten them all, good and snug. Now, this will go on high. I will not put my pressure gauge on until steam starts spewing out this little hole. Then I'm going to put this on 10 pounds. Then I won't put my timer on until this jingles. When this jingles, I'll put my timer on 90 minutes. Important thing to remember is this does not need to constantly go off. That's too much pressure. What will happen is, I got a jar here. See how this liquid level is below? It had too much pressure. It's still fine this way, but you really want the liquid up here. It creates so much pressure that it boils the liquid out. Hear those jars popping in the background? So, as long as this jingles once every 2 minutes, you still have pressure. Now, as long as your canner has a gauge on it, you can see if it has 10 pounds of pressure or not. But a lot of pressure canners don't have the gauge. Here where you can read it, they just have the weight. And so, as long as it goes off, once every 2 minutes, it's still holding pressure and you're fine. So as this heats up, it builds the pressure, and I'll actually start turning the burner down a little at a time, or else it's going to build too much pressure, and this is just going to be constantly jingling. It's going to constantly be trying to let off steam. I hope that was helpful for you. Now, you do not have to add salt to your meat. I do, however. Salt in this does not matter. It's not part of the preservation process. But if you want to add a teaspoon of salt or a teaspoon of like a Creole or other seasoning, you most certainly can. Actually, in all my beef, I use Montreal steak seasoning. I don't buy the pre-made stuff. I have a homemade Montreal steak seasoning recipe that I use. So that's what I use in it. But you do not have to use anything but the meat. You most certainly can add your salt. Remember, all seasonings intensify in the canning process, so don't overdo it. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.